Afternoon Fantasy Bay, Mike Williams here, and we're gonna have this segment called Studs and Duds, where I go over the studs who played amazing last week and the duds who really crapped the bed. All right, let's get started. The number one stud quarterback this week, Aaron Rodgers, with 53 fantasy points, 429 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. My man did work. I'm not going to linger on these for too long because I have a long list of studs and a long list of duds. All right. Kirk Cousins played like a beast, 37 fantasy points, 337 yards with 4 touchdowns. Got to be 4 of them things. Love it. Great play. Matthew Stafford, 36 fantasy points, 364 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. That's not too bad. Jacoby Brissett, 326 yards, 4 touchdowns. Very, very solid. Let's go over to this other side. Jared Goff also had a great game. It was a nice bounce back from that absolutely awful game he had last week. 2 touchdowns, 268 yards. Very solid, and he had a rushing touchdown. Good for you, Goff. Let's have a couple also mentioned. Phillip Rivers and Josh Allen both scored 25. Mitchell Trubisky scored 24. Very solid. Very, very solid. All right, let's get to the wide receiver position. Marvin Jones played like a beast. 4 touchdowns, 13 targets, 10 receptions, 93 yards and 4 touchdowns. Absolutely unbelievable game. Zach Pascal had 28 fantasy points, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Very solid. I actually think moving forward, he could actually be a flex option. DeAndre Hopkins. Everybody's been waiting for it. Here you go. You got a nice DeAndre Hopkins game. 25 fantasy points, 9 receptions, 106 yards, and a touchdown. Perfect. Allen Robinson also had a pretty good game. 87 and a touchdown, 24 points because he had 10 receptions. I'm going off of full PPR, everybody. Michael Thomas, 22 fantasy points. He had 9 receptions, 131 yards, no touchdowns. But he did it against them Bears. Where are the Bears at? I thought that defense was amazing. You got Michael Thomas up here scoring 22 points on y'all. MVS. I wonder if any of y'all saw this coming because I didn't. Coin flip on who's catching the ball in Green Bay, but this week he did great. 21 fantasy points, touchdown and 133 yards off of 2 receptions and 3 targets. Alex Erickson, not even going to lie to you. I don't know if I've ever said that name. 21 fantasy points. He had 137 yards. Very solid. All right, let's get over to Corey Davis, 20 fantasy points. T.Y. Hilton, 19. John Brown, 19. It's pretty solid. I think I might have skipped one. Oh, my man Stephon Diggs. Can you dig it? 21 fantasy points, 7 receptions, 142 yards. I like to see this because everybody was worried about whether or not he was going to be able to keep his streak alive from the Philadelphia game. He came in, played well. He got a late touchdown. Sorry, not a late touchdown. He almost had a late touchdown. Dropped it. Now with Adam Thielen going out, I really do think that Stephon Diggs is going to have a great game against Washington, so watch out for him. All right, let's get to running backs. And someone that you probably already should own, but is probably on half of your waiver wires. Chase Edmonds, 34 fantasy points. Man, he was killing it. David Johnson got knocked out early in the game. Apparently it was the plan for him to be the emergency back, but he was in at the beginning of the game. Whatever. Coaches speak, always lying to us. 2 receptions for 24 yards, and he had 27 attempts for 126 yards and 3 touchdowns. Man, very impressive. He has a tough stretch coming up, but if you have him, Either use him or trade him. You can trade him really high right now. Latavius Murray, beast off the waiver wire as well. 31 fantasy points, 5 receptions for 31 yards, and 27 rushes for 119 yards against Chicago. Is the Chicago defense bad, or is Teddy Bridgewater just walking through them right now? What is going on? Dalvin Cook, possibly the MVP of the season this year so far, if it wasn't for the Patriots defense. 27 fantasy points. He had 1 reception, but he had 25 attempts for 142 yards and 2 touchdowns. Beast mode. Zeke, 26 fantasy points, 6 receptions, 111 yards, and a touchdown. Solid. Austin Eckler staying relevant. Melvin Gordon not being too important. So we got Austin Eckler, 24 fantasy points, 7 receptions, which is amazing, off of 8 targets, 118 yards, and a touchdown. Very, very solid performance. Next, we have Sony Michel, who is doing his thing, man. 3 touchdowns. He didn't do, his efficiency wasn't great. 19 rushes for 42 yards, but, I mean, you can't argue with 3 touchdowns. Aaron Jones looking good. 12 attempts, 50 yards, but he also had 4 receptions for 33 yards and a touchdown, giving him 18 points. Derrick Henry had 17. Josh Jacobs, 16. Royce Freeman, 16. All right, let's get to the tight ends. Darren Waller had himself a day. My man could have also had an extra touchdown, but he got ankle tackled at the touchdown line. At the end zone, what am I talking about? 31 fantasy points. He had 7 receptions, 126 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Man, 2 of them things. He's killing it. Darren Waller is a must start every week. Top 5 tight end until the end of the year. Eric Ebron, which was a great waiver wire ad this week. 70 yards and a touchdown. Gotta love that. Kyle Rudolph, very solid outing, 5 receptions, 58 yards, and a touchdown. All right, next we have Hunter Henry, who came back to earth with his 15 points, but still amazing in this terrible tight end landscape. 15 points, 6 receptions, 97 yards, no touchdown, but I love 97 yards from a tight end. That's amazing. Dallas Goedert, 15 points, and Gerald Everett, 15 points on 10 targets. Watch out for my man. I've been telling you about Gerald Everett, and I think he stays involved. And defenses of the week, Kansas City Chiefs, 27 points, 9 sacks. That's amazing, and a touchdown. New England defense, which is every week a beastly defense, 25 points. Rams, 24 points, beast, 5 sacks, 10 points allowed, touchdown, and a fumble recovery. And that's going to do it for the studs of the week. Mike Williams, Fantasy Babe, if you have any questions, hit me up. I'll be going over the duds next. Check out the next video. Mike Williams, Fantasy Babe, I'm out.